Hey guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video. The day after an historic 2-1 victory at the Bernabeu, and I'm trying something new today. I've not really come up with a creative title yet for this strand, the blue view or something like that. That'll do. And if you've got any better ideas, let me know in the comments below. But I've got two absolute massive Burks to join me. I'm dead excited for this actually. I've got Dan Burke from One Football and Ahsan, as of course, from the 9320 pod, which you probably definitely know about. If you don't, you should do. Guys, Ahsan, I'll start with you. How are you feeling today after that, mate?
Amazing, absolutely amazing. I was up at 7 and in the gym at 7:15, just absolutely loving the pain, which just speaks volumes about how much fun I must have had last night for me to enjoy getting in the gym this morning at that time.
That's insane. Dan, yourself?
A little bit hungover, actually. I sort of took the celebrations a bit too far, I think. But, you know, it's not often you win a big Champions League away game, is it? So I thought I might as well make the most of it. Yeah, I had a few drinks last night. It was nice.
It was good, wasn't it? It was good. I mean, it didn't feel real for like about an hour after it. I was like, have we actually just managed to do that, given everything that's going on? I mean, I guess that's the context, really, given everything that's going on at the moment. I mean, Dan, like, how big of a victory for Manchester City is this at the moment, given the context of the noise around the club, I would guess?
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, I mean, it's been nice to see the sort of coverage that the game and the performance has got as well. People are talking about the football for once, which is such a relief after all the nonsense that's been going around. I think, you know, City have been generally very highly praised for the way that they approached the game in Madrid and the way they performed and the result they've got. I think it's a real watershed moment for City in terms of the way they play in Europe, and, you know, we've never had a result like this. So hopefully this will be the start of bigger and better things, and we can sort of go far in the competition, maybe even win it this year now. And this will be the catalyst. And I do wonder, you know, there's been a bit of talk about the way that this sort of siege mentality around the club and the way that the players might react to this UEFA nonsense, whether that did have an impact in the game last night. I think it might have done.
Yeah, do you think there was actually signs of that, Ahsan? Do you feel like that the players were kind of a little bit more up for it due to the current, you know, this current scenario? Did you get any sense of that last night?
Can I say no?
That's fine, man. That's fine. Yeah.
I felt like they were so sort of tactically focused. Yeah. I felt like there was such a kind of bespoke tactical plan for every player that I'm not sure. I said on our preview podcast as well that I'm not sure that going into the game and using emotion as a motivation is a good thing, because I think at the Bernabeu you actually have to control your emotions to get through what will be the difficult moments. And so, no, I mean, I felt like what for me would have been a sign that they've been motivated by all the nonsense off the pitch is if we'd have started the game at 100 miles an hour. Yeah. But tactically that wasn't the plan. So yeah, I mean, maybe after after Madrid score, I think maybe then part of the mentality after that and the performance, again, you know, you felt like it was very well planned in terms of knowing when that Madrid midfield, their legs would go, and having the players on the bench to then change the game. But beyond that, maybe the last 5% that we get out of all the players in after Madrid score comes from the extra motivation of what's happened in the last 12 or 13 days. But no, I didn't feel when the game started that we were playing like a team that had a point to prove to UEFA.
I think that's probably fair, to be honest. I mean, it did feel like, I guess maybe Guardiola extra motivation are probably more tactically aware of anything. You know, he's not like Jurgen Klopp. He's not going to get his team coming out and chasing everything down. He's more very much like, for him, extra preparation is more be extra calm, isn't it? I guess, and be more considered. Yeah. I mean, there were obviously one of the big debates as well going around is whether we kind of got it right with the approach. Because as you said, the response to the goal, and the last 20 minutes in particular, it felt for a lot of people that's how we should have been at the start, if that makes sense. How do you feel about that, Dan? Do you feel like we kind of got it wrong initially, then got it right at the end, or was it kind of thing, did it all kind of bleed into each other in the end?
Yeah, it was a bit of a rollercoaster of emotions, the game, really. I mean, obviously it all turned around in the space of 8 minutes, didn't it? And prior to that, I was sort of thinking, why don't we just come here and play the way that we usually play on the front foot a little bit more? You know, we're 1-0 down. What was it all for? And I was thinking about, I read the piece that Sam Lee wrote in The Athletic about Guardiola's relationship with Real Madrid. And Guardiola was quoted in the article as saying, to win at Real Madrid, you need to be brave. And when we're losing the game, I'm thinking, we've not been brave. But ultimately, City kept playing the way that they set up to play. They were patient, they were calm. That was the bravery that they showed, that they didn't panic when they went a goal down and they just kept going at it. And, like I say, within 8 minutes, it all turned around. And what looks like, could have been a real misstep from Pep is now being considered one of the great European away performances, isn't it? And it's just the margins so high.
Do you think you feel vindicated then, basically, given, because not saying he's had criticism, but obviously there was the Thomas Muller quotes as well beforehand with people saying he does maybe overthink it. In other words, he said he does a lot of preparation. But do you feel vindicated after last night?
I think so, yeah. I mean, a lot of the post-match stuff that's come out is that during the winter break, Guardiola watched Real Madrid games relentlessly, pretty much, and sort of analysed everything. And you look at the moment that
he's a weirdo, and he's a weirdo.
Oh yeah. That's what part of his brilliance.
I love it. Yeah.
But the moment that won the game was when he brought Sterling on, and him and De Bruyne overloaded Danny Carvajal, the Real Madrid right back who gave the penalty away. I mean, that's something that Pep Guardiola's noticed, probably watching all these games and studying all his footage. So it's those tiny little details that get you over the line. And I think, Guardiola has every reason to feel very pleased with himself after some of the criticism he's received this season. I thought that was absolutely brilliant management.
One of the players as well. Go on, Ahsan, carry on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think also what we've got to take into account is that the goal that we do concede comes from not one, not two, but three individual errors, one after the other, to gift them a goal. And I sort of said on the podcast that we did that, look, if you make three errors like that in your own half, you'll concede against Burton Albion, never mind Real Madrid, because just that's the, I don't know, like I think that's the line, and I think that's what will have really frustrated Pep in the immediate aftermath of that goal, is that outside of the goal, there's one Benzema chance. Other than that, the plan works, because Real Madrid, who normally love to have the football, normally love to create chances, love to attack you from the wings, from the middle as well, they didn't really get the opportunity to do any of that. I mean, Ederson makes, I think, one or two saves, big ones, but other than that, doesn't really have a lot to do. So I think that the risk in the tactical plan was always going to be, are you going to have a night where one of your defenders is going to make an individual error to give the opposition a goal, or will they stand up to the pressure? And I think that even if they don't stand up to the pressure in the moment where, I think Rodri makes the first mistake. No, Otamendi makes the first mistake, Rodri makes the second, Walker makes the third, right? Even in that moment, after that, you expect heads to go, and heads don't go. You feel as though we still get stronger, and we still get stronger in the half, and we begin to take control again. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen all of the stuff about whether Pep initially got it wrong. And I'll be really honest, before the game, not seeing Fernandinho on the team sheet had me absolutely baffled.
I think we were all shitting it, mate. I think we were all shitting it.
Angry. Like, I think I went from as soon as the team is announced to just being like, can I swear on this thing?
Yeah, of course you can, man.
Okay, just being like, what the fuck was that, man? What are you thinking? Like, your most consistent defensive player in the season, in the biggest game of the season, doesn't get on the team sheet. And then as the hour kind of ticks closer and closer to kickoff, you're thinking, well, he's got to have a reason. He must have a reason. Laporte, Rodri, Otamendi, those three defensively. Why those three and why not Fernandinho? And the only thing I kept coming back to was, on our preview, Graham Hunter said, Madrid are really strong in set pieces. City will have to not give away stupid free kicks, and they will have to not give away too many corners. And maybe, that's the only thing I can think, that maybe he's looked at it and he's gone, you know what, Otamendi, Laporte and Rodri, between them, anything that comes in the air is just absolutely getting eaten up. And maybe he thought that the battle between Otamendi and Benzema would be a better battle for City than if it had been between Ferner and Benzema. And of course, all that goes in the bin when Laporte gets injured. But Go on, sorry, go on.
I mean, personally, it's hard to look past the moment as big as that mistake. But I thought Otamendi was largely okay other than that. So it wasn't like he was. We didn't really see much Benzema at all. To be honest, he had something like 18 touches throughout the whole game. And for a player he's done that well for Real Madrid recently, has kind of stepped into the limelight a little bit more since Ronaldo's gone. We did largely shut him down. I think, which was obviously credit to the way the defenders played. I don't think they were perfect by any stretch, but it definitely wasn't the disaster show that it could have been, I guess. And you're hoping, as you said as well, if one player makes an error, that another two then don't immediately follow and do the same thing. So in another day, maybe Otamendi would have got away with that slightly dangerous kind of hospital pass, but it's kind of tough, isn't it? One player, though, who did get an awful lot of praise from Guardiola in particular, he said about Gabriel Jesus, he said he was so fast and so good. You have to make the pitch wide. They're aggressive. In the first few minutes we suffered, but after that we had more fluidity. In general, that was the shock, wasn't it, I guess, Dan? The whole Gabriel Jesus left wing thing, and then eventually he ended up through the middle. But how big a game was that for him in general last night?
Massive, absolutely massive, because he's, his strike rate for City's been pretty good in the time he's been at the club, but he's never had those big sort of heavy goals to his name, has he?
No.
One of the big shocks for me was that Aguero didn't start the game and he started the game, and then you sort of realised once the game started why that was, because he was going out onto the left side, and that was really really effective. But I felt like we sort of lacked a bit of a focal point in the middle throughout the game. Really, there was not, getting the ball forward. There was just no one in the box. You thought if the ball goes in there, someone's going to get on the end of this. And then that Sterling substitution moved Jesus into the middle a bit more. Superb cross from De Bruyne for the first goal. Jesus took the goal really well. And like you say, hopefully he can really sort of kick on from here now, and this will be his watershed moment as well. And it really takes a lot of confidence from this, because we've been waiting a while for this moment from him.
I had a feeling it was going to happen. I don't know, it's something about Brazilians and Real Madrid. Like they're just, I feel like Brazilian players seem to just love the Spanish clubs. Given the Ronaldo history and all that kind of stuff. And I always feel like this was kind of a game that he was going to shine in, because I don't know. I think it does mean more for Brazilians, doesn't it, playing against Spanish clubs, especially Real Madrid. Has that answered any questions for you, Ahsan, or were you very much in the pro Gabriel Jesus camp anyway?
I've been quite hard on him the last 12 months.
That's why I asked that.
in terms of the fact that I've felt as though he's had the opportunity to announce himself as Aguero's successor, and I don't think that he has done that. And maybe the most damning thing that I've said about Jesus is I don't think he's any better than he was when he arrived 3 years ago. And I think that 2 or 3 years, 3 years I think it's been.
Yeah.
I think if you've been coached by Guardiola for 3 years or 4 years and you've not improved as a player, a little bit of a worry, that for me. Having said that, he's still so young that
it's 22.
I'm loath to write him off. Last night was an enormous performance. It was enormous because it was such a heavy goal, that equaliser. And it's one of those where actually the quality of it means absolutely nothing. It could have come off his elbow and then his shin and, just trickled over the line. The fact that it was that heavy a goal is what makes it a moment for him in his career. And I think the performance as a whole is a moment in his City career, because I think it was a huge game. I don't think we can underestimate how big a game last night was, coming off the back of the last 12 days.
Yeah.
The narrative that has generated about Pep and about the Champions League, and then the selection as it is from Pep, where there's no Fernandinho, where there's no orthodox number 9, where you've effectively got De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva playing as false nines and Jesus as a left winger. Well, in the context of all that, the game's huge. All those calls are huge, and it's got to work, because if it doesn't work, I said at halftime, I definitely said it before the game, tonight actually is all about Pep. I think if we win, Pep will get all of the glory, and if we don't win, the knives will be out for Pep in the Champions League. And I think that for that reason, it's a monstrous performance from Gabriel Jesus.
Does this change everything now? Because obviously you said, the last 12 days has been a bit insane, and it's never boring, is it, I guess, for City? But does this change anything now for the players? Because I mean, a lot of people, and myself included, I guess, I'm not sure how you guys felt, but when we drew Real Madrid, I was very happy with that. I felt like another kind of middling European team would have been another game without any real expectation or pressure. I mean, there's always an element of it because it's Champions League, but this is different, isn't it? This is, as Guardiola said himself, the kings of Europe, This is a huge game. And does going away to, I know they're not what they used to be, they're still Real Madrid, does going away to Real Madrid at Bernabeu, and given our Champions League problems, does it actually change how these players feel about the tournament? Do you think they'll be more confident now? I know maybe it's an obvious yes, but will they? Yeah, you know what I mean. So how do you feel about that, Dan?
I agree. I mean, I at half time of the game last night, I don't think we played particularly brilliantly in the first half. I think people were perhaps expecting a more entertaining game than they actually got in the end. But I looked at that first half and I thought, we've got nothing to fear from these here. If we can get through this with some sort of result, get them back to our place in the second leg, we'll do them. I've got a couple of Real Madrid fans at work here who've just said to me, it's finished. Don't worry about it, it's finished. And I'm like, it's only half time, it could have gone either way. And they said, no, we know Ramos, it's over, don't worry about it. So I'm still worried about it, but I think we've put ourselves in a very strong position to go through now, haven't we? And then who else do you fear in Europe apart from that? Liverpool, definitely, but they could end up going out in the next round. So if Liverpool were to go out to Atletico Madrid, I would say you've got to be looking at City as the favourites for the competition there. But maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself already.
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. The second leg.
Yeah.
I think I've got a question. Can I ask a question of you both?
Yeah, sure. On.
Is it? Do you really believe I've seen a few people say, well, it's not a vintage Real Madrid team, and I'm a bit surprised by that. I mean, okay, they're not top of La Liga, but the majority of those players won 3 European Cups on the bounce, and they have got a monstrous mentality, and it's just, I feel as though going into the game, I know, Dan, I absolutely know what you're saying, that I didn't think that we had anything to fear from Madrid in that sense. But Madrid are just Real Madrid. They've got incredible players. Zidane has proven himself time and time again in the Champions League. So, yeah, I mean, do you both really feel that they're a weaker proposition than the last few years?
I feel like once again, they are like a monster mentality kind of team. But their players are a little bit older. Cruz isn't a guaranteed starter anymore. Mendy's kind of overtaken Marcelo, who's obviously such an experienced player, and then you've got no Cristiano. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo. As much as we can't stand the guy, he's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. He's a freak. And then I guess even Ramos is a little bit older. Some people say some of his powers are waning, and I guess those kind of factors. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot down just to. I mean, their generation. You think of Real Madrid, you think of these golden players. They are slowly starting to move on, and then they have dropped a lot of points this season in the Liga. It's like you look at the Liga and both teams are pushing 90 to 100 points, and that's not going to happen this season. It's going to be, they're going to win it with low 80s, I reckon, either the teams. And they drew to Osasuna, lost to Sociedad in the Copa del Rey. I think Real Madrid are Real Madrid, and I totally agree. There's always going to be that fear factor, and rightfully so. And they've still got some phenomenal players. And that's not to undermine anything Manchester City have done at all. But I do think it's a relatively fair comment to say that they're not quite what they were. But then again, we wouldn't be what we were without Kevin De Bruyne, and they haven't got Cristiano Ronaldo anymore, who's equally, if not more important than Kevin De Bruyne is for us. So I think there's a slight change for them, but. I don't know. Dan, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think experience, it plays such a big role at this level as well. You look at the Chelsea Bayern Munich game as well. Bayern Munich aren't at the peak of their powers. They're not going to necessarily win the Bundesliga title this year. But from the first minute against Chelsea, you could tell it was men against boys, who the experienced ones are, who've done this before. And that performance from City, for me, felt a little bit like the City players, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, are saying, right, we're sick of this now. We've been in this competition for a few years. We've not had any joy out of it.
He was good, wasn't he? He was good last night.
Yeah, it's now or never. It's now or never for us, basically, as a team. This group of players is going to change in the next couple of seasons. So they've got to make it happen now. And I feel like there's a determination to do that at City, it seems.
I guess we all presume Kev's, guaranteed future club captain, right? Because his attitude last night, it wasn't just... I know he's kind of there nominally at the moment, given David Silva was in the team, but that leadership last night from De Bruyne, it's just... I don't know. He seems to be. I feel like he's growing as a person as well. I feel like he's accepting more. He's more in interviews after his kind of game. He's obviously. I kind of like his slightly laissez-faire attitude to interviews. How he's all a bit whatever. He's not Vincent Kompany with Ahsan Naeem. He's very much football is easy for us. He's got a slight ego, hasn't he? Which I think which I actually think would probably help Manchester City. And I think last night he wasn't surprised that he was the leading figure for us.
Absolutely. His performance, I said after the game that it was a talismanic performance. And I think that, for me, De Bruyne is the talisman of this side. And I was going to say the only thing missing is a big European moment. But actually, the winner against PSG is a big European moment. Maybe we didn't kick on from there, but I think that this is now De Bruyne's team for me. I really believe that. And
100%.
I think that in terms of, if you want to look at a club captain moving forward, Kevin De Bruyne is absolutely a club captain. I think it's no surprise to me that Ollie Kay's done a piece in The Athletic where he said Kevin's close family is saying that he's so settled in Manchester, he's having his house rebuilt. There's absolutely no danger of him going anywhere. That tells you everything that you need to know. That the next 4 or 5 years, Kevin De Bruyne becomes what Vincent Kompany was to Manchester City for me.
And importantly for that is, I think you can have a talisman. It's great at the back, but you can have someone who scores goals and create goals as well. That's insane. Well, that's what Cristiano was, for example, for Ronaldo, wasn't it? Totally. having that kind of figure, because someone stopping goals, great, but a guy who can just drive it forward on and ping one into the top corner or whatever, that's absolutely crucial. I'll wrap it up there because I haven't got the stamina for podcasts unlike Ahsan, but I really, really genuinely enjoyed that, guys. Thanks very much. Last question quickly. It's pretty fast because we don't really know how it's going to end, but how are you feeling about the second leg? Feeling confident, Dan?
Yeah, pretty confident. Yeah, I think, like I said, like the lad said to me, Ramos for them missing is going to be a big loss. I don't really think Real Madrid have quite got what it takes to kind of overturn a second leg in Europe like this at the moment. This team are there, so I feel pretty confident, but you never know, do you?
No, something that we see. Ahsan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very circumspect. I'm glad we've got a 3-week break because I think that everybody's feet needs to get back on the ground, and I think that when that tie comes round again, Pep needs to approach it exactly like the first leg. I think that they need to go, right, this is 0-0. We need to have a monster mentality again. This is Real Madrid we're talking about, and only then do I see us getting over the line, because even with Ramos out, the reality is that Madrid can score goals, so we have to be. I said before last night we have to play our best game of the season to get anything, and I'll say the same again at the Etihad. We've got to play our best game of the season to get through to the quarter-final.
Fingers crossed. We definitely give ourselves a big chance with 2 away goals. Absolutely crucial, that. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget, go and follow Dan. I'll put the links to their Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Dan works for OneFootball, so downloading the link in the description below, as always.
Indeed.
And Ahsan, I'll put a link to the 9320 pod, which is a genuinely fantastic independent Manchester City podcast. It's fantastic. I'll put a link in that below. Thanks for joining me for the very first ever kind of Skype calling like this on my channel. You're both heroes, seriously. Don't forget to like, comment, and let me know if you enjoy this kind of videos, and we'll see you all soon.